on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's Pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here with your May 11th, 2022 AEW Dynamite review. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm doing good. I'm kind of wondering if Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin still have spines. That's how we're going to start this. We're going to talk about the main event when the main event happens, but I'm still, and credit to the two of them, credit to AEW, I'm still kind of in holy shit mode. So while we're in a bunch of other really cool things we got to talk about today, and while I make my typical balanced, hey, here's the big gap between the stuff that I love and the stuff that I can't stand, there's not really much stuff that I can't stand on tonight's show, so that's good. There's a lot of good things to talk about. But it will probably sound like I'm rushing to the end because holy fuck, that main event. But this week, among other things that we are building towards, this week starts off the Owen officially. Now, they're already referring to this as the quarterfinals, which it is. They're 8-person tournaments. So I don't know why they didn't just call the qualifying round the first round. It's a stupid distinction for me to make, I know, and I get that, but it means that the people that were fought so that other people could qualify for the tournament don't really get to say that they were in the tournament. And that's fine, but they're not calling this the first round. So they had qualifying matches, and now that those qualifying matches are done, they're calling it the first round, which it's not. They didn't get a bracket until the last ones were all set up, and there's Joker conversation. I'm going to say it right here, right now. My prediction for the two Jokers is, can't call him Cesaro anymore, Claudio Castagnoli, and can't call her Ember Moon anymore, so we'll call her Athena. So Claudio and Athena are my predictions for the Jokers. I'm not basing that on anything. I didn't read it anywhere. I didn't, talk to somebody. I don't have sources. But Cesaro and Ember Moon both showing up, both next week, because next week's being called Wildcard Wednesday, because they can't have a Dynamite without giving it a special name. But those are my predictions. And we go into it. We didn't get the announcement of the Jokers until we had the announcement of the brackets, and we didn't get the announcement of the brackets until the qualifiers were over, which is how we got the beginning of this little ramble that I'm on. But the opening match was Dax Harwood versus Adam Cole, which was great. It's kind of funny to me only because Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler had their Hart family pink and black tribute gear for the match that they faced each other, which was great. You've got Adam Cole, who's basically Shawn Michaels, and that definitely factors into the finish. But these guys are incredible. Adam Cole is a star on another level, and it's very strange for me to say this. I know I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I see Adam Cole as a main eventer because in NXT, when I was introduced to him, because I didn't see him in ROH, New Japan, Bullet Club, etc., they made him feel like a main eventer from day one. They always had him in the main story. They always had him in the main plotline. They always had him in a main faction. They always had him in a main title picture. So Adam Cole feels like a main eventer trapped in the mid-card on AEW, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's a different way for me to see him. And Dax Harwood is in yet another match proving that he's not just a tag team guy, which is awesome. There was no Undisputed Elite at ringside. There was no Cash Wheeler at ringside. Martha Hart was in the crowd, which is cool. Dax has the Owen Hart tribute gear again. They have a bit of brawling and a bit of ego to start. Dax goes for the sharpshooter, which is nice because he's dressed like a Hart. He gets tossed by Cole sideways into the post. Now, we've seen people be thrown into the post 100 times. They take that little gap between the second and the third rope, and they do it with the shoulder, except they don't do it with the shoulder because basically they go up into about an inch before. But he did this, he sort of threw him like a sideways pancake, which is not a great way to describe anything, under the bottom turnbuckle, ribs first, right into the actual post. And Jim Ross did his nut in trying to explain to us what a square ring post is, and, that's really good. Dax reversed 2 attempts at the Panama Sunrise. One was into, I believe, a sharpshooter attempt, and one was into a pulling pile driver that looked like it wrecked. Dax, after a couple more attempts and some counter wrestling, love it. Go right back to what I said at the beginning of the match. It's somebody dressed like a Hart versus somebody that's basically Shawn Michaels. Dax dressed like a Hart taps out to the sharpshooter from Adam Cole. This had me grinning ear to ear. I looked at the bracket and I saw that the Adam Cole was now going to move on to face either Jeff Hardy or Darby Allin, and I'm like, okay, A, Darby Allin versus Adam Cole, awesome. B, probably not something that everybody would prefer, but I'm a big Jeff Hardy mark. Jeff Hardy versus Adam Cole is a bucket list match for me personally, and that's just what it is. This was really good. I haven't talked very much about the match. I've talked about the key moments that stuck out, because like a lot of the Owen like a lot of the Owen tournament matches, there's just a feel that goes with it, and it's just nice. And occasionally, when things are just nice, that's more important than, oh, and then they got a wrist lock, and then they transferred it into a wrist trap, and then somebody else countered it into a headlock. Like, that stuff is cool. That stuff is important, and when you do it really, really well, it's really, really good. We're going to get to another match with that later on. But the feel of this was so cool. It wasn't quite the, what did Hangman say in his weird heel promo last week? It wasn't a masturbatory tribute fest, but little nods here and there. You got the guy dressed like a heart. You got the guy that everybody compares to Shawn Michaels, and rightfully so, in all the positive ways possible. I mean, the guy's a walking star. You could put that belt. They should have. I'll go out on a limb and say it. They should have put that world title on him already, because, yeah, Hangman's going in a weird direction. And speaking of Hangman going in a weird direction, he walked in a weird direction all the way to commentary. Look at that transition, because we're going to get Punk versus John Silver. John Silver's in his hometown. It's all good. CM Punk is working with everybody from all over the roster, which is all good. But here's the problem. Here's the problem, and here's the problem. CM Punk getting a title match at Double or Nothing is something I'm very excited about. So now, you listen to what I just said. I said CM Punk, I said the AEW title. You'll notice I didn't say Hangman Page, because the more they make me try to care about Hangman Page, especially after the weird out-of-nowhere, sort of whiny, bitchy, look at me, please think I'm tough promo that he cut, I don't care about Hangman Page. And here's the thing. Hangman Page is a great wrestler. He's not telling the worldwide epics that I think AEW and the AEW fans want you to believe that he is. Oh my god, it was this big 2-year epic between him and Kenny Omega, and they were rewriting Shakespeare. No, they weren't. They were a tag team for a bit. They broke up. They had a match. Hangman lost. Hangman fucked around with some jobbers for a while, got pissed, got drunk, went home, knocked up his wife, had a baby, came back, had another match, and got the title. I'm sorry, my direct comparison has always been the Hangman and Omega thing. My direct comparison has always been Bayley and Sasha Banks. Both companies, equally, they're both guilty of this, confuse good long-term storytelling with a story that's just gone on for a long time. And the story didn't go on for a long time. They had a match. They did other shit for a year. Hangman went and got drunk with jobbers and knocked up his wife. And then eventually they had another match. As much as I don't want to give credit to Sasha Banks, at least Sasha Banks and Bayley kept their feud about their feud, if that makes sense. Really hope Bayley comes back, by the way. But yeah, it's really, really weird. Punk versus John Silver. I would have loved to love this match, because I like CM Punk. I like John Silver for what he does. He knows exactly what his role is at this point, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. But these guys went out to have a match for match's sake, so that Hangman could talk on commentary for a while. Punk does Jersey stuff because where were they? Long Island doesn't like him because they like MJF, because this is their version of Bizarro Land. I'm really curious to see the reaction that AEW gets when they come up here to Canada, which is the original Bizarro Land. Somebody told me a strange-ass rumor, or I might have heard it on Good Mike Works stream, that they may be moving All Out to Toronto. I don't think that's true. I haven't heard a whisper of that. any of you within the sound of my voice right now, if any of you have heard this rumor and there's anywhere where you can legitimize it, please, and I'll say this with all the sincerity in my heart, at Spaz Phoenix on Twitter, send me the link, send me the information, because I'll be there. Your boy, Spaz Phoenix, will be there. The Wednesday Night Wars are officially dead. I want to go to All Out, and I've officially given up on NXT. So there's that. But yeah, getting back to my point, Silver's great, and if it was just, hey, CM Punk's having matches with everybody, and this week it's John Silver, then it's John Silver getting a chance to prove himself, right? But it's not, because you're reminded by the fact that CM Punk is the number one contender, that he's up here and John Silver's down here, and he's going to give it a scrappy try. He's going to be the Shorty G of AEW for a night. And he's, because of the match coming up at Double or Nothing, he's not wrestling as John Silver. As the story goes, he's wrestling as Hangman Page's buddy, so that Punk can say, look what I did to your buddy. So you've automatically put him in sidekick territory. So this thing, which was a fantastic match, I will say, John Silver looked great. This is probably, in the brief time that I've been watching AEW, that I've known the guys in the Dark Order, this is the best John Silver match I've ever seen, like one-on-one. Usually they're in big tags, etc. He looked phenomenal in this match. So credit to him, credit to CM Punk as well, because you can't dance without a partner. But everything around this reminded you, no, he's not, this isn't him, even though he's trying to have his hometown moment as well, which is really, really unfortunate. Punk wins with the buckshot lariat, which made me laugh, and then he cut a promo on Hangman Page basically saying, hey, I heard what you said last week and you sound like a bitch. Pretty much, he didn't say that, but he pretty much said, you sound like a bitch. I don't know why you're getting your panties in a wad. I just want your title. It's all business, bro. You seem to be taking this way too personally. If he was sitting right here, right in front of me right now, and he was a real person and not a fabrication from a fictional TV show, I might tell him to go out there and touch some grass. Touch some grass. Get out there with Sidgwick and touch some grass. Talk to Britt Baker in the back. She's there with her girls, not only talking about the conspiracy against her, which is fucking great, because she has to face the Joker next week on the Wild Card Wednesday, because it's a Wild Card Wednesday, and also puts over Jamie Hayter before their match tonight with Toni Storm, which is also an Owen Hart match, which is great, which we're going to talk about later on. Danhausen debuted, and it wasn't great, was it? His entrance is bizarre. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less, but his entrance is like Christmas music, but because he's the creepy guy that curses people, automatically, like, the happy fun circus stuff takes on a creepy element. It's like clowns, like the way that people describe clowns. Clowns are creepy because nothing should be that happy. Well, you listen to the happy clowny music that he's got, and then you see what he is. It's a little bit of dissonance there. I like that. It's really good. I like Danhausen a whole lot. But he faced Tony Nese, and it was over in like 10 seconds because Nese kneed him in the face and won. And then Smart Mark Sterling said some stuff, and then Tony Nese kneed him in the face again, and they have a post-match attack. Smart Mark keeps rambling. Hook makes the save. They have the handshake, and it's all good. Now, here's the thing. You guys know my co-host Guapo, who I hope to have on here again soon. He's the one that tells me what I should look forward to when somebody's debuting that I don't know. What did he say when Ember Moon was about to debut for NXT? He said, hey, awesome chick, hot chick, does a stunner from the top rope. Cool, that's all you need to know. Hey, Guapo, what do I need to know about Danhausen? He's very nice, very evil. Okay, thank you. All right. So there's an energy that comes from Danhausen, and it might not be the same for everybody, but this is what it is for me. There's an obnoxious annoyingness that comes from him, because everybody that he annoys is going to be more annoyed by how much people love him. And I found a comparison point. I was talking to somebody at my job today that doesn't really watch a whole lot of wrestling, but I was trying to explain Danhausen, and I was trying to explain like why I like the things that I like. And it's sort of topical because I saw Doctor Strange 2 over the weekend. Not going to give you guys any spoilers, but it's all over the place, and it's fucking awesome. But Doctor Strange 1, how did he win that? How did he win that fight? It wasn't a same versus same fight like a lot of Marvel fights are. Well, you didn't like punch him to death. You didn't like just upset him and whatever. You didn't get a big army together, and they didn't fight on the battlefield. Doctor Strange got the time turner and died, and came back with the time turner and died came back with a time turner, and died, and came back with a time turner, and died. And basically, Dormammu knows that he's been beaten because Doctor Strange annoyed him to death. Or he annoyed him into submission. Or he annoyed him into defeat, however you want to look at it. There's a lot of that energy in Danhausen, I think, especially when you see him interacting with people like Britt Baker. It's a lot like the Ezekiel Kevin Owens thing, but not the Ezekiel Kevin Owens thing isn't obviously as universally over as the Danhausen thing is. All the due credit to him. I've never seen the guy wrestle, so I hope we actually do get to see him wrestle. He's going to do this tag team thing with Hook. It's going to be Hookhausen. I came up with the really, really shitty pun that they should have a boxer gimmick so that they can have a left hook and a right hook, but that's just me, and that's just the kind of jokes you get from me. This was really bad as far as a debut goes, because he lost to a knee and that was it in about 10 seconds. But what it does for the story going forward is you got somebody that's as over as Danhausen is without having a match, and somebody that's as over as Hook is in general, and they're going to combine, they're going to do something. Hook's going to turn face, Team Taz is going to implode! Because can you imagine Hook and Danhausen versus Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs? See Danhausen putting a curse on Powerhouse Hobbs, it'll be good, and Taz will be on the outside just going, what's this guy doing? This guy's he's a weird fella. That's not how Taz talks at all, but, I'm not going to try and butcher a New York accent tonight. Hey, what you doing? Nope, not going to do it. What we are going to do instead is talk about how MJF, sort of, kind of, maybe, got me back on board with the MJF Wardlow thing, because as I've said, not quite as bad as the Hangman Page thing, because the Hangman Page thing, I want Punk to win from a better champion. I want Punk to win this belt from Adam Cole, and I want a certain shift in AEW that hasn't quite happened yet in that title scenario. But MJF Wardlow, I've been saying off and on the past couple of weeks, if you guys have been listening to what I've been saying that this is awesome, but somebody needs to tell these guys that they're not Triple H and Batista, and this has dragged out a bit too long. Because they are in MJF's hometown, and MJF is the babyface in this scenario, not only does Wardlow have to come out to no music with all the security, with the handcuffs, etc., he's got a Tron that says, "Boo Wardlow," which is great. And then there was an ad for the Dark Side of the Ring, but it was Dark Side of the Ring, an episode about how he got screwed over in the dog collar match with CM Punk by Wardlow. Chris Jericho's voicing it over, because of course he is, and he stops in the middle of the narration. He's like, why would I possibly narrate something for MJF? And then he says, oh, he's paying me. Okay, cool. And then he continues the narration, which is fucking brilliant. And it's all good. It's all shot like Dark Side. The only Dark Side of the Ring that I've watched, by the way, is the Chris Benoit thing, part 1 and part 2. Finally got around to watching that. It's depressing as hell. I don't want to watch any more Dark Side of the Ring. Not saying it's not good. I'm just saying there's enough sad things in the world already. There's Karens and SJWs and terrorists. Oh my. Anyways, we finally get down to the ring. Sean Spears is there in his white suit and his matching white chair. We start talking about MJF talking to the crowd, how much they love him, etc. He's got a jersey like CM Punk had a jersey, except his jersey obviously has MJF on it. He says, I want to show how great my hometown is. We're going to let Wardlow speak. I would hate for you guys to boo him louder than you've ever booed anybody in your life. Wink, 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 all the way around the arena. And when the crowd does exactly what MJF wants them to do, he says, all right, well, fuck it. Then Wardlow doesn't get to speak. He lays out his conditions towards the match, and it's very, very similar to the Labors of Jericho thing. He says, I'm going to whip you. I'm going to whip you with my belt. And I'm not going to do it 1 time. I'm not going to do it 2 times. I'm not going to do it 3 times. I'm not going to do it 4 times. I'm not going to do it 5 times. I'm not going to do it 6 times. I'm not going to do it 7 times. I'm not going to do it 8 times. I'm not going to do it 9 times. Hey, Sean Spears, how many times am I going to whip him? And he does the old Ty Dillinger 10 thing right in his face. Popped me rotten. He says, okay, if you get through that, then you have to have a steel cage match with Sean Spears. And then everybody sort of waited on that for a second, because it's like, all right, Sean Spears is going to die. But the special referee for that match is MJF, which is going to be fine. Prediction, and it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler, you're going to get a Powerbomb Symphony in that cage match where they do 10 in a row to follow up with the 10 lashes, to follow up with the Sean Spears, who used to be Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10, doing the 10 gimmick. That's what they're going to do there. And then you get the match at Double or Nothing, and it's basically your freedom versus your contract. If you win, you have your freedom. You're not contracted to me anymore. If you lose, you can never sign a contract with AEW. Ever. Wardlow clears out the security guards. Wardlow clears out Sean Spears. MJF gets away, obviously, because there's a chop block by Mark Sterling, who's really making his paycheck tonight. He already out there earlier tonight with Tony Nese. He's now being the legal representative of MJF as well, but he gets put through a table for reasons. And I will say, even though it didn't end up quite well for Smart Mark Sterling in this match, it's still better than him managing that other Ryback-esque person who wasn't on the show tonight, so we don't need to mention her. Or him, or them. Who am I talking about? I don't know. Let's move on. Samoa Joe cuts a promo on facing the Joker next week, and it's interspersed with Jay Lethal and his group saying, you're going to face the Joker next week because you are a Joker, and I bet you think it's me, I bet you think it's Sanjay, I bet you think it's Satnam Singh, and it's none of us, but, this, that, the next thing, we're going to watch you fail, and generic heel stuff, Samoa Joe basically giving a more detailed and laid out version of Joe's gonna kill you, which is fine. He's carrying one of the ROH titles. I'm pretty sure he's not gonna go out. Actually, now that I think about it, they might have him lose to the Joker and think, okay, you've got a title, you've got something else to do. Whoever this Joker is, can't have them losing in their first match unless your name is Danhausen. Moving on. It was good. It was a very strange video package because it was cutting between Joe cutting a very good promo, as he typically does, and the other three wingnuts on the heel side of things, who are supposedly not the Joker, cutting very bizarre, generic heel stuff. Jungle Boy versus Ricky Starks for the FTW Championship, which is just a pretext for the tag team title match that's coming later on. Obviously, Taz is on commentary because one of his boys is in the ring. They have a great match. That's all I can really say here. There's great ground game. There's great counter wrestling. There's great submissions, reversals. It's a very heavy-hitting match. I don't know what Jungle Boy calls this. Apparently he's done it before. This is the first time I've taken notice of it, I guess. But he sort of grabs the guy by the head and does the 619 motion through the ropes, but it's to set up a tornado DDT. Really, really impactful looking. Jungle Boy constantly trying to be the I make a lot of impact for my size guy, and they even mentioned on commentary he's trying to bulk up, he's trying to be bigger, he's trying to be more powerful in the ring. Jim Ross, in that particular regard, is really cool at a long-term, not necessarily this is how he's going to win the match, but hey, this is what this kid is trying to do long-term. Rochambeau does get the win for Ricky Starks, and then everybody comes down. Christian comes down, Luchasaurus comes down, Powerhouse Hobbs comes down, Swerve comes down. Ricky Starks is already in the ring. Obviously, you got Keith Lee, you got the tag teams all staring each other down. Jurassic Express and Team Taz and Lee and Swerve. And if you need me to write this on a whiteboard for you so that you can see it a little bit more clearly, this is the triple threat that we're going to get at Double or Nothing for those tag team championships. Now, everybody's staring everybody else down in the ring except for Jungle Boy, who's sort of staring wildly off into space because he's disappointed that he just lost the match. Christian, you think this may or may not be the time that he turns on him because they have a little bit of a pause. Everybody else kind of fucks off. They're the last two in the ring, but instead he sort of takes him under his wing, gives him a big hug, all that kind of thing. Somebody on commentary asked Taz if he wanted a hug too, which popped me rotten because I would love to see somebody try to give Taz a hug and they just get suplexed. It's fine. The Jericho Appreciation Society's victory speech. Guys. They do AEW Galaxy stuff. Jericho's a wizard because he can make fire. Just ask Eddie Kingston. Hey, I'm sure you'll be back soon. I'm sure you want to stay home and take care of your wife. And if you can't get the job done, tell her she can call me. very, very good Jericho stuff, but it took a long time to get where it was going. They do the whole, a sports entertainer is always going to beat a pro wrestler, to which you get Moxley coming through the crowd, and Jericho says, he sort of stumbles over his words, but basically he says, I'm going to beat you so bad you're going to need to take another leave, which, it's effective, but it's one of those things where I'm going to sit here and say it didn't bug me, but if some other people wanted to say it bugged them, I can't argue with that one. I'm sort of going to leave it alone. Didn't bug me, but it probably bugged some people. He's joined by Danielson and Yuta and Regal on the rampway, and Jericho's on the rampway, and he says, well, it's still 4-on-5, and I'm like, well, Regal's not going to wrestle, so that wrestling math doesn't work at all. While he's talking about 4-on-5, I should say, my bad. Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz show up on the other side. They all brawl. They make a point of not doing a close-up of Eddie Kingston's face at any point, because they've done some kind of makeup job on him to sort of, show the remnants of the Fireball incident and all that kind of thing, which is fine. But they didn't show a close-up on it, because you can't do that. Well, remember when they did the thing in WWE? Let's make fun of WWE for a second. Remember when The Fiend and Alexa Bliss set Randy Orton's face on fire and he had to come out in the gimp mask for a week? Remember how fun that was? But basically, while the entire Blackpool Combat Club is standing in front of them and Bobblehead and his two friends are standing behind them, there's a huge, unanimous "you fucked up" chant from the crowd, which was very pointed and very clear. And then the fight takes place, and even Regal gets in on it, because Jericho spills out of the ring at one point and he gets knocked out by Regal, which makes me smile. I'm happy to see Regal enjoying himself. The voiceover vignettes that he's been doing for Blackpool Combat Club are fucking amazing, and everything that we want it to be from William Regal. But to Jericho's point, actually, you can't really sell me on a story where it's 6-5 in the babyface's favor and we're still cheering. Like, it's why handicap matches don't work when it's the heel that's the victim of the handicap, because that doesn't tell the right story, in my personal opinion. So who gets to take a seat? Probably Wheeler Yuta, because they are, even though they are a trio and Yuta already has a championship, they are still in the background building up the idea that Danielson and Moxley are going to go for the tag titles at some point. And it's Moxley that has the connection to Eddie Kingston. We all remember when all the sparklers went off at the end of the not quite killer barbed wire match. That was a thing that happened, wasn't it? So if we get the Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Walking Bobblehead, Santana and Ortiz, and Danielson and Mox, and yes, I'm going to keep calling Kingston the Walking Bobblehead, because that promo the other week was laughable. Everybody else thought it was so intense and it was so dramatic. No, he was laughable. It was laughable. Let's just cut to the quick right now. I said when this guy first came in and him and Moxley were doing some stuff, I said put the belts on these guys yesterday. I thought this guy was one of the coolest guys in the world, and he still has the potential to be. But with this whole Jericho thing, he's gone from really, really intense to cartoony, and it's this cartoony, I'm a gangsta, take me seriously, yo, I'm a gangsta. And it's like, but you're not, though. Like, you're not going to shoot him. You're not going to shiv the guy. You're not going to burn down his American town. Like, you're going to have a match with him where you might pull out a chair. So let's be a little bit more realistic there, and maybe don't be a bobblehead, and I won't call you a bobblehead. It's why I call the walking armband, because it's what he is. And by the way, I'm going to mention it one more time because it makes me smile. The walking armband was beaten by a guy named Phoenix last week. Oh yes, so that was a fun brawl. It was cool to see even Regal get into the mix. Still don't know what they're going to do with this exactly. If you want to make an excuse for it, have Wheeler Yuta defend the ROH Pure title at Double or Nothing, and then his other two members can join with Bobblehead and Santana and Ortiz, and they can have that 5-on-5. That's fine. And you have a built-in reason why Yuta wouldn't be in the match. You keep it 5-on-5. You don't give a handicap advantage to the baby faces, which doesn't make any sense, and you can still salvage this. It's in the dregs right now. Don't do any more bad makeup jobs on Kingston. You'll be fine. You'll be a less made up bobblehead doll. Don't even worry about it. Okay, Owen Hart, quarterfinal match thing gimmick. Hayter versus Storm. And I have to draw a comparison back to, I don't know why I lost my train of thought there for a second. I have to draw a comparison between this and the first match. In the first match, Dax Harwood came out in obviously Hart tribute attire, and his opponent, who was Adam Cole, came out in red. Jamie Hayter came out in not necessarily Hart tribute attire, but black and pink attire, and her opponent came out in all red in Toni Storm. And fuck me, Toni Storm's hot. I'm sure she's making a lot of money on her OnlyFans. That's all I'm going to say. They start off the match really slow. They trade a lot of headlocks, arm locks, arm throws, etc. As they quickly go to the picture-in-picture. The timing of this wasn't the greatest. They throw each other all the way around the ringside area during picture-in-picture. There's a nice chop battle when we come back from the commercial break that turns into some stiff forearm thrusts. There's a twisting DDT on the floor by Toni Storm, and after a couple more counter reversal sequences, she lands in a really messy-looking Storm Zero. I'm not going to lie. But it is... I'm sorry, I'm a little bit biased towards Toni Storm, so I'm going to say that the messiness of the Storm Zero made it look a little bit more brutal, and Toni Storm moves on, which makes me happy, which is good, because, again, like I said with the John Silver thing earlier, I would love for Hayter to get a win, but she's a sidekick right now. Hayter should get her big win when she gets sick of Britt Baker's shit, and they have a match, and that'll be fine. This is a star versus a sidekick. And I don't know how many more times I can say this. That is not a slight on Jamie Hayter. I like Jamie Hayter, but it is also a matter of, you know, who's where at the time. And Toni Storm is still a relatively new arrival in AEW as well, and riding that whole wave of, oh my god, another one that AEW saved that never got pushed by WWE, which is true. I can't even say it's not true, but. It is what it is. She's going to take on the winner of next week's match between Britt Baker and the Joker, which I really hope is Ember Moon, because if we go to the next round and it's Toni Storm versus Ember Moon in an AEW ring on Dynamite, that could be really good. Why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? Okay. We sort of did a video package setting up for Rampage, which is going to be Kazarian versus Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky is going to be a fighting champion, even though he's in a heel faction, which doesn't quite make sense. But it's going to get Kaz on TV, and Kaz doesn't get enough TV time. I'm going to pull for Kaz anytime I can, and then he's being interviewed in the back. He gets confronted by Sammy Guevara, who we're supposed to believe is a heel, but all he's doing is warning him about Scorpio Sky, who's the actual heel, who's not the same guy that you knew him as when you were in your tag team thing. And then he tells off Sammy Guevara, but Sammy Guevara's not lying, and this sort of feeds into the narrative of the people that don't like Tay Conte and don't like Sammy Guevara, because these people are living their best lives and most people on Twitter aren't. Moving on, I like the fact, I don't watch AAA, I think it was AAA, somebody's going to correct me down in the box below if I'm wrong. Apparently Sammy Guevara and Tay Conte are the AAA mixed tag team champions now, and that just... You don't even know what a smile that puts on my face. I wish they came out with them on Dynamite. I wish he came out, like, you know how typically he comes out and he does the stuff with the whiteboard or the placards and whatever. Instead of that, have him come out with a blank placard, chuck it into the crowd, and have him and Tay just hold up their belts. That would have been awesome, but we didn't have time for that. What we did have time for was the main event, which was another Owen Hart tournament match, which was suddenly made a no DQ match, because of course it was. And it was Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy, and fuck me. Match started off, you know, all respect until the bell rang, and then there's a huge torpedo that took Jeff Hardy right out of the ring by Darby Allin. Darby Allin immediately grabs all the chairs from under the ring and sets up 2 rows of 4 chairs, so it's got that big sort of platform of seats. And from the beginning of the match, I'm like, oh, that's gonna suck for somebody. But Jeff brings him back into the ring with a twist of fate along the ropes, pulls out a ladder as we go to commercial break. As they're in the commercial break, they tease Jeff Hardy doing a swanton off the ladder, and I'm like, they're not going to do it. They wouldn't be dumb enough to do that during a commercial break, would they? But instead, Jeff Hardy sort of lays on this layer of popped up, open, upright chairs, and Darby Allin in the ring, tribute swanton bomb from the top of the ladder, out of the ring, basically misses Jeff Hardy entirely, and liquefies his spine. Like, it was so dirty, there was no... I mean, a couple chairs shifted a little bit, but there was no, big breakaway. Usually when something gets hit, it moves away, and eventually they're on the ground. No, he just lay there across all the chairs, like the fucking cheese in your grilled cheese sandwich that hasn't quite melted yet. And I was like, fuck me, that's the end of the match, 'cause he's dead. But no, the match continues. He then goes for a coffin drop on the apron. Jeff Hardy moves, and he eats shit on the apron edge as well. Twist of Fate by Jeff Hardy, while Jeff Hardy sets him up on the jagged edge of the stairs that have been turned up sideways, misses as well, and Jeff Hardy takes sort of an odd bump to the one side, because, as soon as they're on their side, the stairs aren't as structurally secure as they would be normally. Back in the ring, Darby goes for the simple, generic coffin drop. I wrote Swanton Bomb because I'm an idiot. He goes for the coffin drop. It lands on Jeff Hardy, flush in the center of the ring. Everybody thinks, okay, cool. Darby Allin, in the span of like 3 seconds, the 3 seconds it took to make that pinfall, everybody and their mother was probably thinking, okay, cool, that was nice. That was a great outing by Jeff Hardy. Darby Allin's one of the pillars. He's going to go on to face Adam Cole in the next round. That's going to be an amazing match. Adam Cole's already a superstar. Darby Allin's one of the pillars. But then, no. Roll up out of the coffin drop. 1, 2, 3. My boy Jeff Hardy gets the win. I didn't know what to do with this at this point, because from the moment he hit those chairs, that was the match. The whole... I don't want to make a drastic comparison, but I'm going to. Undertaker, Mankind, Hell in the Cell, when he gets chucked off the cell into the announce table, into the guardrail. Nothing after that, even though there is a bunch of fucked up shit that happens after that, nothing that happened after that sort of registered with you. But this was dirt. Like, that was a break. That was Mankind falling on a table that's sort of meant to break, etc., etc. It still sucked, don't get me wrong, and he pushed a tooth up his nose. It's fine, we don't need to talk about it. But he landed across 8 steel chairs that were upright that didn't fucking move an inch. The steel didn't sell, as Jim Ross would say. And I just... when there's certain moments, and for me it's usually in matches, for me, it's once they've landed on the tacks, you sort of get you get your shoulders up a little bit, you tense up a little bit, you're like, oh, that must have sucked. He hit those chairs, and nothing that happened after that, to me, registered the same. I mean, they did a lot of cool stuff after that. Like I said, nothing after that. First, top of the ladder, in the ring, to the outside, basically missing Jeff Hardy entirely, and just annihilating his spine on all those chairs. Fuck me. And then he gets done in by a fucking roll-up, which is so fucking sad. I mean, it's not funny, but it's Shakespearean. It's like tragic comedy. They have the respectful thing afterwards. If you remember back in the day when Biker Undertaker had the ladder match with Jeff Hardy, and he sort of brought him back in the ring to raise his hand, it was very much that type of thing they were trying to emulate. But then you got Jeff Hardy posing in the ring. He's, hugging his brother. He's hugging Sting. He's hugging Darby Allin. Everybody's hugging, in the words of Ralph Wiggum. And then we get to the rampway where Adam Cole is out there with the Undisputed Elite and the Bucks, who refuse to wear Undisputed Elite t-shirts. Storytelling is awesome and key, because he knows he's going to face Jeff Hardy next week. Now, Adam Cole and Jeff Hardy is an interesting prospect, because I don't 100% know what that match looks like. We made this a no DQ match because anybody that was as into this match as I was, anybody that was saying at the minute Jeff Hardy came to AEW, it was like, well, he's got to face Darby. It wasn't going to be a normal match. And even Darby Allin even said it in a pre-match promo. It's like, nobody tuned in for this match tonight to watch us do a headlock. And that's exactly it. Now, I don't know what kind of match you do. I don't know if they're going to step up every match. I hope they don't step up every match in the tournament, because that would get a bit weird. But I don't know what the Adam Cole-Jeff Hardy match is going to look like. I'm predicting that Adam Cole goes over, because I'm also predicting that we get Bucks Hardys at Double or Nothing. So the wins are going to make sense, the losses are going to make sense. And if you want my if you want my initial prediction, I don't know what they're going to do with the women's thing at all. We've had exactly one match that's on the actual bracket happen so far, and it was Toni Storm. You could have probably predicted it was going to be Toni Storm. I'm predicting, looking at the bracket for the men, that the final is going to be Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe, or it's going to be Adam Cole versus whoever the Joker is. Those are my predictions for that. Like I say, my predictions for the Jokers, or at least who I would like them to be, Cesaro and Ember Moon. We just saw Mia Yim show up at Under Siege for Impact, which was a good show. I've heard... Actually, I should say this first. He's just come back to Impact, but they have a working relationship. So if the Joker was somebody like Sami Callihan versus Samoa Joe in round 1 would be pretty fucking sick. Now, not so much AEW related, but I've seen some spoilers for what's going on in Impact. I may do a video tomorrow for some of the initial things I've heard about Slammiversary, because we've got Double or Nothing, we've got Slammiversary, we've got the open door gimmick thing that they're doing, and I've got a Destiny show coming up this weekend. So there's a lot of wrestling coming up for me, but the stuff that I'm hearing about Slammiversary, which is not only serving as this year's Slammiversary, but it's serving as Impact's 20-year anniversary show as well. I've heard what the main event is. I've heard 2 of the gimmick matches that have been announced. Slammiversary is going to be weird, and I don't know why I'm sticking that on the end of this pod, but I've done it now, so that's that. This show was fucking awesome, except for the Jericho stuff. Not so much the Jericho stuff, but the Jericho Kingston stuff, which is... I don't know, because on the one hand, I like the Jericho stuff on its own. I love how obnoxious it is. I knew at some point when they started pushing themselves as the sports entertainers, they were going to have problems with the Black Bull Combat Club somewhere down the line. I don't know whether you want to just shove that in a big mess along with Bobblehead and his friends. A lot of people thought that Bobblehead and his friends were going to call on Homicide and Hernandez, which I was not at all having a problem with, but I don't know what Homicide and Hernandez are doing these days. So I don't know if that's possible. So wipe that out of the equation. The Danhausen thing was a bit weird, but it led us to the first little building block in the Hookhausen story. So that's fine and wonderful. This was a pretty fucking good show. The Darby Jeff Hardy match fucked my head up. That spot out of the ring, and it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not 10,000 C4 explosives and tube lighting and barbed wire and somebody having their head opened up like mass fucking transit. But it was pretty dirty for a TV match in mainstream North American wrestling. And I know that's my go-to, but just watch that spot. I mean, if you're listening to this, you obviously watch the show, but go back and watch that spot again. It's grosser than you remember. This is going to drop tomorrow morning at 10 like it always does. By the time you listen to this, go back and watch that spot tomorrow in the light of day. It's grosser than you remember it right now, I promise you. The show was great. It's really, really good. For the most part, the Owen tournament is off to a good start. Double or Nothing, the build to it is going okay, considering I don't give a shit about the champion. On the other sides of the coins, we are building to the open door, forbidden door gimmick thing. We're building towards Slammiversary as well. I mean, we're going to do WWE... It's a bad statement against NXT that I'm still going to preview WWE stuff, but I'm not previewing NXT. Go back to me a year ago, 2 years ago, and try to tell me back then that this would be the state that we're in now. I wouldn't have believed you. I would have virtually decked you through your television screen or your Twitter device. But here we are. They've completely neutered NXT by putting more sex in it, which is really, really counterintuitive, and I've really just made myself really sad at the end of a really good show. So, that was weird, was it not? I'm going to stop talking now. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, your boy, Spaz Phoenix, is tagging out. I'll talk to you later.